Welcome to an episode of Wing Zero-Duality. In this video, we'll explore Wing Zero-Duality itself, an approach to non-duality that breaks free from tradition while addressing the challenges of today's world. This isn't about abstract ideas or retreating from reality. It's about combining freedom from the known with practical action to resolve inner conflicts like fear and ego, and outer conflicts, such as societal divisions. We'll draw on the insights of Jiddu Krishnamurti, Bruce Lee, and David Bohm, as well as the application of cutting-edge ideas from science and technology, in order to ask ourselves whether fundamental change can occur in both our personal lives and the world around us. So let's dive in. Wing Zero-Duality is an approach to non-duality that breaks free from traditional confines while fostering clarity and real-world impact. Here, we focus on cultivating clarity and creating real-world impact rather than retreating into abstract ideas or rituals. So as Jiddu Krishnamurti once said, freedom is not revolt, not a reaction, not a blind denial of what has been. Freedom can only come when you have understood the whole psychological structure of society, of which one is. Out of that, one has freedom. That freedom is tremendous order. This idea perfectly reflects what Wing Zero-Duality is about. Not just rejecting old patterns, but deeply understanding them to find true freedom. And unlike traditional practices that are often tied to myth and tradition, Wing Zero-Duality stands apart. There are no gurus, no institutions, and no dogmas here. As Bruce Lee said, the truth is outside of all fixed patterns. This is the foundation of Wing Zero-Duality. Freedom isn't about following a fixed path or figure, but about breaking free to discover the truth for yourself. This idea applies even to figures like Bruce Lee or Jiddu Krishnamurti. While their insights are profound, the core message they teach is to not simply follow them or their ideas without question. For instance, Bruce Lee famously rejected the rigidity of classical martial arts. He didn't want students to replicate his movements exactly. He encouraged them to adapt techniques to their own bodies and situations. His philosophy of be like water wasn't about becoming Bruce Lee, but about embodying flexibility and responsiveness in your own unique way. So similarly, Jiddu Krishnamurti spent his life dismantling the notion of authority in spiritual teachings. He dissolved the very organization he created around him, or rather that was created around him, because he believed that truth cannot be found through a guru, even himself. He urged people to question everything, including his own words, and to observe life directly without the filters of tradition or ideology. So the lesson here is that their teaching are not blueprints to be followed rigidly. They are tools to help you discover your own freedom. Even the greatest teachers point back to one essential truth. The answers lie within you. So instead of retreating from the world, we engage with it directly, addressing the challenges of modern living. So one of the unique aspects of Wing Zero-Duality is that it doesn't ask you to retreat from the world. This isn't about escaping to a monastery or meditating in isolation. It's about facing the challenges of modern life head on. We live in a world full of complexity, work, relationships, technology, and constant change. Wing Zero-Duality provides a way to engage with all of this while staying grounded in clarity and freedom. So, by engaging directly with the world, we realize that freedom isn't somewhere out there, it's found in how we relate to life as it happens. Take Bruce Lee as an example. He studied martial arts styles from all over the world. Wing Chun, boxing, fencing, judo, and many others. He sought to understand their principles and techniques deeply. But Bruce wasn't content to follow tradition blindly. He absorbed what was useful, discarded what wasn't, and created his own philosophy, Jeet Kune Do, which he called the style of no style. His close student and friend, Dan Inosanto, embodied the same spirit of inquiry. Inosanto delved into Filipino Kali, Indonesian Silat, and Thai boxing, among others, constantly learning and innovating without being confined by any single system. Similarly, Jiddu Krishnamurti engaged with some of the greatest minds of his time, physicists like David Bohm, psychologists, and Buddhist scholars. He didn't retreat into spiritual seclusion or rely solely on his teachings. Instead, he invited these experts into dialogue, questioning and exploring the nature of thought, consciousness, and the universe. His approach was not about proving a point or defending a tradition, but about inquiring together, seeking clarity without attachment to conclusions. This is the same principle Wing Zero-Duality embodies, engaging with the world's complexity and traditions, not to conform to them, but to learn, question, and transcend them. True freedom comes from inquiry, not retreat, actively participating in life while staying rooted in awareness. We also differ from We also differ from the contemporary non-duality scene, which often lacks structure and becomes overly casual. So Wing Zero-Duality also stands apart from much of the contemporary non-duality scene. While some modern approaches to non-duality can feel overly casual or lack structure, this is where we take a different path. We believe that a focused framework is essential for real transformation. This doesn't mean rigid dogma or rules, but a clear and effective approach that respects the depth of the practice while staying adaptable. Dr. David Bohm approached reality with a deep inquiry into the fundamental laws of nature. His concept of the implicate order, a deeper interconnected reality, provided a skeletal framework for understanding how everything unfolds into the explicate order, the world we observe. This structured approach wasn't rigid. It allowed for exploration and adaptability, much like a flexible scientific base for discovery. This idea is similar to how Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do operates. It begins with a base framework, a skeletal structure drawn from the foundational arts like Wing Chun, Western boxing, and fencing. The Baizhang stance acts as a universal starting point, a position of readiness, balance, and efficiency that connects all techniques. From there, the practitioner adapts and evolves the system to suit their own unique needs. No matter how personalized Jeet Kune Do becomes for the individual, it always circles back to the foundational principles of Baizhang. These principles are universal yet adaptable, much like Bohm's implicate order in physics. In Wing Zero-Duality, the skeletal framework is our understanding of the fundamental laws of nature and the observer-observed relationship. These serve as a grounding point, our Baizhang. From there, the practice becomes deeply personal, adapting to the individual's unique circumstances and challenges. Yet, it always returns to these universal principles, ensuring clarity and relativity in every application. This structure base, whether in Bohm's physics, Jeet Kune Do, or Wing Zero-Duality, prevents the casual drift that often weakens modern non-duality practices. It allows for depth and freedom simultaneously, guiding us without confining us. Wing Zero-Duality offers a focused yet open framework, blending accessibility with effectiveness to foster meaningful transformation. What makes this approach truly accessible is that everything you need is already within you. As Krishnamurti said, the world is you. The world is not separate from you. What you think, what you feel, what you do, creates the world you live in. Your consciousness is the consciousness of humanity. This highlights the inner conflicts we experience. Fear, division, ego are not isolated, but are mirrored in the outer conflicts of society at large. Bruce Lee addressed this duality in Jeet Kune Do when he said punches and kicks are tools to kill the ego. The tools represent the force of intuitive or instinctive directness, which, unlike the intellect or the complicated ego, does not divide itself, blocking its own freedom. The tools move onward without looking back or to the side. The tools aren't just for defeating an opponent. They represent the process of resolving inner conflict, dissolving the ego's division, and restoring harmony within oneself. Wing Zero-Duality takes the principle and expands it. Just as punches and kicks resolve conflict within the martial artist, our framework encourages resolving inner psychological conflicts, fear, division, ego, while engaging with and addressing the outer conflicts in society. By bringing clarity to our inner world, we gain the capacity to address societal issues like inequality, division, and misunderstanding with greater effectiveness and compassion. True transformation comes from resolving both levels, inner and outer, because they are ultimately reflections of each other. Wing Zero-Duality is rooted in the understanding of the fundamental laws of nature, those universal principles that shape and condition thought and consciousness. One of the most profound insights in this approach is that the observer is the observed. This means that there is no real separation between thought and the thinker. Physicist David Bohm captured this relationship beautifully when he said, "Thought constitutes the internal representation of the world. Yet thought is not separate from the world. It is part of the total reality, and its activity reflects the general laws of the universe." Relativity theory and quantum mechanics have shown us that the universe operates through interconnected patterns, where space, time, and matter are inseparably woven together. Similarly, thought is conditioned by these same patterns. It reflects and shapes our perception of reality. In relativity, the observer and the observed are tied together through the fabric of space-time. In quantum mechanics, the act of observation changes what is observed. These principles are not just physics. They reveal how deeply our thinking is entangled with the reality we experience. This is why understanding thought and consciousness is so crucial. It's not just about observing the world, but recognizing how the very act of observation shapes what we see. Wing Zero-Duality takes this insight and makes it practical. By understanding that thought and reality are not separate, we can begin to break free from conditioned patterns and see the world and ourselves with clarity. This dissolves the illusion of separation, helping us resolve both inner and outer conflict at its root. Wing Zero-Duality distills non-duality into a practical, adaptable framework to modern life. Wing Zero-Duality just isn't about personal transformation. It's about applying non-dualistic principles to create real-world change. This means taking the understanding that the observer is the observed, that there's no separation between ourselves and the systems we interact with, and using it to address societal challenges. For instance, consider a blockchain smart contracting hub designed to reshape how we handle debt, agreements, and resource allocation. While the hub addresses technical matters of expertise, ranging across finance, technology, law, and societal structures, it begins as something originally blank, like Bruce Lee's concept of the formless form. The hub is empty and adaptable, taking shape only as it integrates knowledge and responds to the needs of its network. This blank nature makes it non-dualistic at its core. It doesn't impose rigid hierarchies or fixed solutions. Instead, it evolves naturally, reflecting the interconnectedness of its participants and the systems they rely on. In this way, it mirrors the idea of formlessness, allowing for transparency, equity, and adaptability within a complex array of societal structures. The hub resolves inner conflict, such as mistrust in centralized systems, by fostering transparency and collaboration, while also addressing outer conflict in society through fairer financial systems, reduce costs, and increase inclusivity. This is what Wing Zero-Duality embodies, turning non-dualistic insights into transformative action. The blank, formless framework of the hub serves as an example of how understanding and action come together to create meaningful change, both within ourselves and beyond ourselves. And so, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to share this content. And also, we're taking a bit of a detour. We're not going to get into how the blockchain smart contracting hub could potentially resolve for the 8 global financial crises involving debt. So we're just going to focus on what Wing Zero-Duality is. And until next time.